Imagine being officially announced for one of the biggest television franchises in the world. And then, barely 2 weeks later, you're out, and another major star is stepping into the role. That is exactly what has happened with HBO's new Harry Potter series. Nicholas Hoult has dropped out of the role of Gilderoy Lockhart, and Game of Thrones star Kit Harington has been cast as his replacement. And honestly, this is one of those Hollywood casting stories that raises almost as many questions as it answers. Before we break down what happened, make sure you subscribe because this channel is where we bring you the biggest entertainment stories, the facts behind the headlines, and our honest take on what these casting decisions could mean. Nicholas Hoult was announced on August 11th as the actor who would play Gilderoy Lockhart in the second season of HBO's Harry Potter. But on August 24th, the situation changed dramatically. Hoult is no longer attached to the role, and HBO has moved quickly to replace him with Kit Harington. And here's the important part. According to reports from Deadline and other major entertainment outlets, Hoult's departure was caused by scheduling conflicts, not because HBO suddenly decided he was wrong for the character, and not because of some reported behind-the-scenes scandal. That distinction matters. Nicholas Hoult is already juggling major projects, including his role as Lex Luthor in the upcoming Superman sequel, Man of Tomorrow. Reports say production scheduling eventually became difficult enough that Hoult was released from his commitment to Harry Potter. And this is where I think the story becomes particularly interesting. Hollywood productions are massive scheduling puzzles. An actor isn't just filming one movie or one television show anymore. Major stars can have commitments stretching years into the future. So while fans may look at this and think, how could they cast him and lose him only days later? The reality is that productions can change schedules, filming windows can move, and suddenly an actor's availability disappears. But there's another question. Was Nicholas Hoult actually a good choice for Gilderoy Lockhart? Personally, I thought he was a fascinating choice. Hoult has demonstrated that he can play very different types of characters. He's capable of serious dramatic performances, eccentric personalities, and characters with plenty of arrogance. And Lockhart needs exactly that combination. Gilderoy Lockhart isn't simply a charming wizard. He's vain. He's theatrical. He's obsessed with his own reputation. And underneath all that confidence is a man who is nowhere near as heroic or talented as he wants everyone to believe. Kenneth Branagh famously played Lockhart in the 2002 film Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, creating a performance that was deliberately exaggerated and ridiculous. So replacing Hoult was never going to be an easy task. And then HBO came up with Kit Harington. Yes, Jon Snow himself is heading to Hogwarts. Harington is best known for playing Jon Snow in Game of Thrones, another enormous HBO fantasy franchise. He has also continued working with HBO, including his role in Industry. At first glance, Kit Harington might seem like an unusual choice for Gilderoy Lockhart. When many people hear Kit Harington, they immediately picture Jon Snow. Serious, brooding, battle-worn, dressed in black, carrying a sword and looking like the fate of the Seven Kingdoms is sitting on his shoulders. Gilderoy Lockhart is almost a complete opposite. He loves attention. He loves compliments. He loves looking in the mirror. He wants everybody at Hogwarts to believe he's the greatest wizard alive. And that contrast is exactly why I think this casting could actually work. Harington has spent years being associated with one particular type of character, but Lockhart gives him the opportunity to lean into comedy, vanity, and self-parody. And there's another fascinating connection that makes this casting even more interesting. Harington has already voiced Gilderoy Lockhart. He previously performed the character for the full-cast audio edition of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. That means this isn't Harington's first experience with Lockhart. He has already explored the character's voice and personality in another official Harry Potter production. In my opinion, that may have helped make him an especially attractive replacement. HBO doesn't have to introduce him to the character from scratch. He already knows the material. He already knows the character. And perhaps most importantly, he already has a connection to the Harry Potter audience through that audio performance. But let's talk about the timing, because that's probably the biggest reason this story is getting so much attention. Nicholas Hoult was announced only about 2 weeks ago. Now he's gone. Kit Harington is in. That's an incredibly fast turnaround for a major television production. But there's also something reassuring about how quickly HBO found a replacement. The character doesn't appear until the story of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, which is expected to form the basis of Season 2. The first season is adapting Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, so HBO has time to make the transition before viewers actually meet Lockhart on screen. And that could be important. If this recasting had happened halfway through filming Lockhart scenes, the situation would be much more complicated. Instead, HBO appears to have acted quickly enough to keep the production moving. And let's be honest, there is something almost hilariously appropriate about the role of Gilderoy Lockhart experiencing a little Hollywood drama before he even walks into Hogwarts. The man is famous for pretending everything is under control. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, his casting has gone through a complete transformation. But I also think fans should resist turning Nicholas Hoult's exit into something more dramatic than the evidence supports. Right now, the credible reporting points to scheduling conflicts. There is no solid evidence that Hoult was fired because HBO disliked his performance. There is no evidence that he had a falling out with the production. And there is no verified indication that some secret controversy caused a change. Sometimes the simplest explanation really is a correct one. Hollywood schedules didn't line up, and now Kit Harington gets the opportunity. For Harington, this could also be a smart career move. After spending years being identified so strongly with Jon Snow, playing a completely different character inside another major fantasy franchise gives him a chance to remind audiences that he isn't limited to one kind of performance. Gilderoy Lockhart could actually become a very fun showcase for him. And that's my biggest prediction here. I don't think Harington should try to play Lockhart like Jon Snow in colorful robes. If he does that, I think the casting could feel completely wrong. But if he goes in the opposite direction, exaggerated confidence, ridiculous charm, narcissism, and a little bit of theatrical comedy, this could surprise people. And perhaps that's the biggest opportunity in this entire situation. Nicholas Hoult's departure is obviously disappointing for anyone who was excited to see his version of Lockhart. But Kit Harington isn't simply a backup plan anymore. He's now Gilderoy Lockhart. And because he's already voiced the character, this casting feels less random than it initially appears. The first season of HBO's Harry Potter is scheduled to premiere on HBO and HBO Max on December 25th, 2026, while Season 2 is expected to move into production later this year. So now the real question isn't, why did Nicholas Hoult leave? We have a pretty straightforward answer: scheduling conflicts. The much more interesting question is this: can Kit Harington convince millions of Harry Potter fans that Jon Snow was hiding a completely ridiculous Gilderoy Lockhart inside him all along? Personally, I think he has a real chance. And if Harington completely embraces the ridiculousness of Lockhart instead of trying to play him too seriously, he could end up being one of the most entertaining casting choices in the entire series. What do you think? Was Nicholas Hoult your ideal Gilderoy Lockhart? Or do you think Kit Harington is actually the better choice? Let me know in the comments, because this is one recasting where I think the debate is going to be just as entertaining as the performance itself.